Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Miller Talk podcast. I'm your host, Austin, and today we are going to be talking to Allan, who I met on X. You can find him there at First Allan 2. Would you like to say hi, Allan?
Hello. That's the best I can do.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So,
I was kind
uh,
of expecting a band to go boom, boom, boom.
yeah. Uh,
But yeah. So, how long you been doing the podcast for?
it's been a couple of months. This would be episode 11.
Oh, far out.
So,
Okay, so you got a little bit of experience.
just a little bit. I've been on one other podcast a couple of times, my friend Chris,
Oh, far
but
out.
it hasn't been too long. Still kind of new at
Yeah,
it.
it's kind of yeah. It seems like you just got a kind of thing you just get better with over time.
Yeah,
You know,
for sure.
because I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety. You're putting all this energy into it, and
Hmm.
you want it to be good. So.
Yeah, it's definitely easier than some the way I'm doing it, where I basically just
Mm,
show up. I mean, there's a little bit of work in the background where I'm on X and I'm trying to find people who might want to come on.
mm,
Trying to find
right.
people with interesting takes or just people that I like, make friends with, and whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
important. You have to have like that commonality there. Because if you're talking
hmm
to like a leftist or something,
yeah,
I hate everything about. That's the people I hate, man. It's just the
hmm
cult mentality, and they're like, oh, we can't. Every leftist friend I've ever had, like I was the only conservative that they were friends with,
hmm
and when they'd like bring you to the rest of their leftist friends, they'd be like, hey, man, don't tell them you're a Christian. Don't
hmm
like bring up anything political. And I'm like, oh, okay, because I'm a nice guy. So I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah,
And then one day I was like, screw that. Like, what? I gotta like change everything about me so that your cult can get upset with you. Oh, they wouldn't like it if they found out that, you were conservative or a Christian. It's like, nah, you're not really a good friend.
for sure. Yeah, I think
But
I've only had one friend that I like knew for sure was a leftist. But I really didn't
no,
get
for
into politics until
yeah,
Trump's first election. And then I really,
yeah.
really didn't get into politics until COVID happened.
Hmm.
So I really didn't even know what people's political views were uh, before that because I didn't
Yeah.
even really know what a Democrat was, what a Republican was. I basically knew, but I didn't really know what that meant. I didn't know the ideology behind it.
You kind of like have a vague understanding. See, I grew up
Mm-hmm.
in California on the Central Coast in a very liberal area, and like they just attack conservatives. Like there were some
Mm-hmm.
conservatives because it's a more there's like a rural farming area that's connected to it, so a lot of conservatives are farmers.
Yeah.
Turns out, and they uh, they would went to our school and everything, and they were just pariahs to these like I mean these left in the teachers. That was the thing that really bugged me. I would mess with my teachers. I would write propaganda essays that were just like totally leftist crap because
Wow.
that's what they wanted. If
Mm-hmm.
I told them like my real opinion on stuff, I would get like a C, and I'd be like, "What's wrong with it? Was the air? Did I not do the research? This kind of thing." And they'd be like, "No, it just didn't really feel true. It didn't have your voice." And I'm like, "What are you
Mm.
talking about? I don't." Because it like literally if something sticks out, that's a pretty good sign it's unique, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
That's
but anyway,
interesting.
they really there's a Japanese proverb that says the hammer or the nail that gets stuck out gets hammered down. And yeah,
Mm.
I think they just love that. They always talk about this. We need to include everybody. And they're like, no, you can be of any race, sure,
Yeah.
but you better have the same opinion. Otherwise, you get called things like the black face of white supremacy,
Wow.
like that guy. And you remember that one? He was a black gentleman. He was. He ran for like governor of California, but he's a conservative guy, and so they're calling him like a white supremacist. I'm like, how stupid can you be? Like the way they twist language like that,
Yeah.
it's obscene. And then they do it with a straight face. And the worst part is they get marching orders from like top to bottom. So
Mm.
you'll like it used to be, believe it or not, Bill Maher, who's come a long way
Yeah,
in
for
recent
sure.
years. But I think he just realized most of his audience became more and more conservative as time went on because the because he was a comedian, and to be a
Mm-hmm.
comedian you have to be able to offend people, and
Yeah.
conservatives turns out they get offended all the time and they go, oh well, whatever, they laugh about it, because they like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're a Christian and you grew up in like the 90s 2000s, every comedian had to have two or three Christian jokes in there. Like that
Oh
was
yeah.
like a way to get to the club. And so you just kind of roll with it. You go, well, I like everything else he says. I'll ignore the mockery of the thing I hold sacred, and to tolerate it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'm rambling on. I
Uh-huh.
didn't mean
Yeah. That's very interesting because I mean I grew up in Oklahoma, which is pretty deep
to.
red. Like we were one of two states that voted fully for Trump, every single county.
Hmm.
So stuff like that wasn't very common at all. Like I didn't know it, but a lot of people around me really shared the same beliefs as me. I mean, I used to think that like my political beliefs like it stopped at the Second Amendment. I've always been huge on the Second Amendment, but
Hmm.
after that, I didn't really know anything
Because you're
else.
smart.
So, so I didn't even realize
Hmm.
how left leaning things can get and like what that meant. Because man, like during COVID, we pretty much had stuff almost back to normal by like 2021.
Hmm.
And in like February of 2021, me and my friends took a trip to um, Vail, Colorado. And so we had to drive through Denver. And
Hmm.
we stopped in Denver to eat because that was about 10 hours into this drive. And so we stopped there and we couldn't
And wow.
find a restaurant in there that would let us in without a mask. Like the first restaurant we went into was some burger joint,
Yeah.
and they literally
Hmm.
yelled and screamed at us to leave. Like we immediately walked in and got yelled at and screamed at to leave. And then we went to the next business, and they were a little nicer, but they were
Hmm.
like, "We don't have any masks," and so we were like, "Well, do you have masks to give us? Because we didn't bring any." Um,
Hmm.
and they were like, "No, we don't have any to give you." So then the third restaurant I went to was a pizza place, and we went in there, stood at the front desk, and they said, "Hey, you need to have masks on." We're like, "We don't have any. Do you guys have some?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, sure, we got some in the back." We're like, "Cool." And so we
Hmm.
probably stood up there 10, 15 minutes, somewhere around there. No masks on. People are coming in, they're
Yeah.
seating other people as we're waiting for these masks to come. And then they finally bring us masks out. We put them on, and we walk 10 feet over to the table, sit down, and take them off, and never put them back
Yeah.
on. I mean,
That's it. Like, because you're acting out
mm-hmm.
the submission to the cult. You're going. These are the marching orders, and they're not following protocol here. And the thing about leftists, I think, is they love being abusive to people.
Mm-hmm.
They love telling you they're like hall monitors
Oh yeah.
the uh, if the hall monitor had no authority and
Yeah.
like no one appointed them, they just start hall monitoring.
Yep.
They just walk in, hey, you get in. That's it. They're the kid that self signs himself as a hall monitor.
Mm-hmm. The people
And they
that tell
love
the
being
kid or
nasty.
tell the teacher that there was homework.
Yeah, I mean, but even worse than that, they tell the kid that, you didn't do your homework that last night, and then maybe you're like, oh, I was busy. I do. No, I saw Timmy playing basketball outside yesterday. He could have done it, Mrs.
uh,
Robinson.
mm-hmm.
That's the kind of people they are.
Insufferable.
Hmm. Yeah, I just and the thing is, when you see these people, and it's like a cult, like a white supremacist or even like black supremacist or a thing now.
Mm-hmm.
And these cult, they're like, okay, they beat up people like white supremacists, for example. They will attack their own before they attack other races. You'll notice
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
they attack people for being race traitors. That's the number. Like on X, if I say anything that sounds out of the line that a white supremacist should say, which is pretty much everything I say, but they'll jump on there and they'll be like, "You sound like a communist leftist." I'm like, "Whoa, you're assigning labels to me that I'm not, and you're doing the
Yeah.
exact same thing that the left does."
Mm-hmm.
You know, um, which is so frustrating because the left will call you a racist, a bigot,
Oh yeah.
all of the things. I can't remember them all, but they'll just throw those at you, and you're like, and it really takes away like a reasonable person's power, which I would say about
Yeah.
70% of Americans are pretty reasonable people.
Mm-hmm.
It takes away their power to call out like an actual racist, some guy just throwing around the N word, or
Oh yeah.
talking about we want a white, those type of people.
Mm-hmm.
You can't call them out because this blue-haired person called you racist for not giving
Yeah.
your parking spot to a black person. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah. It's like I think I've talked about it before, but I think
Mm.
what they're trying to do is water these words down so that it has no more meaning. So that when you
Yes.
get called a racist, it doesn't actually mean anything. And then it makes
Mm.
the actual people that were racist back when the KKK was a thing and lynchings were
Mhm.
happening on the streets, now that's so
Yeah.
watered down, like you don't know the difference. So those people don't look as bad
Well,
as they used to.
I think that's part of it, and I think there could be a mixture of things going on. But I
Mm-hmm.
think when you're talking about the lynching on the street thing, they want that to be the image that comes in people's head
Yes.
when they call someone a racist for, I'm trying to think, like, basically noticing anything that's not super positive about black people
Mm-hmm.
or Mexican people or Asian people. If you're not like, every other race is really amazing except for us dirty white people. If you don't say
Yep.
that, then you're a racist, you know? And there's this like idea that like white people, it's so inherently racist in itself because there's this idea that somehow white people are superior and they should like stifle that. Hey, you have all the everything anyway. I live in North Carolina. I know some
Mm-hmm.
poor fucking rednecks around here, man.
Yeah.
And I know I drive by a house, well, thank God it's not nearby, but I drive by this house sometimes on the way to work. They have a tarp for their roof. That's
Mm-hmm.
their roof,
Yeah.
is a freaking tarp.
Oh yeah.
Um, these are not white people are not inherently, greater than anybody. They're
Oh yeah.
just people like anybody else.
Yeah.
And everything comes down to what morals the people are raised by, what
Mm-hmm.
ethic they have. And I think I used to think intelligence played a factor. Like if someone's naturally smart, they could go further in life. But
Yeah.
I've known some really smart people
Oh yeah. Me
that,
too.
yeah, they start doing dope, or
Mm-hmm.
they just make really bad life decisions. Or the other thing
Yeah.
is, it's a surprising amount of them that fall for scams.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm rambling again. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm from Oklahoma, so I know the rednecks
Yeah,
fairly well.
I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love them. They have such an entrepreneurial spirit.
Mm-hmm.
They
Yeah.
I like my uncle. He just started. He's a hardcore redneck, and he started like five business. He's just
Yeah.
one day. He's just like, I think I'm gonna start selling cars, and he started repairing cars and selling them. And then he was like, yeah, I don't like ripping people off, or I don't like not ripping people off, but like he would give them a fair deal on crap, and it turns out you cannot make money selling cars that way, and so he was just breaking even all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then like he started a welding business and all these different type of things, and you just see that all the time. Someone will just hang out a shingle, and start a business, and they kind of get
Mm-hmm.
embraced by the community. Is it kind of like that in Oklahoma?
Yeah, for sure. There's a ton of small businesses stuff. People power washing, mowing
Hmm.
yards, detailing vehicles and stuff. There's all types of stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like it just seems to be like, if somebody's gonna they support it, which is
Mm-hmm.
something I did not see in California. If somebody tried to start up a business, everyone they knew would be like, "That's stupid. You're not gonna make it."
Wow.
Yeah. Well, it's like the first thing. Like, well, geez, thanks, Dad. You know?
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, and my dad's born and raised in Los Angeles County.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, he was Navy, and
Oh.
yeah, uh, trying to think of why that's relevant, but oh yeah, because like it's so I was raised, like I said, in California. I got a lot of ties to California, and
Mm-hmm.
I know there are some wonderful people out there. They get
Yeah.
a bad rap because of the crazy, big mouth,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they're the third largest conservative base in the country.
Wow.
They just get taken over by San Francisco
Mm-hmm.
and LA.
Yep. Yeah, I had a buddy who was in the Marine Corps, and
Mhm.
so he went to basic there and spent time there. Um, he told me like it's not as bad as you think it is, but I'm still like I'm never going unless it'd have to be a pretty good reason. I just don't feel
Yeah,
the need. I would kind of love to go see um, what is it called? The Well, in San Francisco it's called the Butcher's Block, but the LA one
hmm,
is what is it? Dang.
I don't think I've ever heard of it.
It's the area where all the vagrants are.
Oh yeah, you want to go see that?
Skid Row.
Oh, yeah.
I kind of just want to
Oh,
see just the absolute epitome of like what America can be, like the lowest level of it.
just the maximum of human suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's yeah, they're not happy. I talk to homeless people quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like if I see them, I'll buy them food. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm gonna help somebody, I don't like to give them money or something
Yeah.
like that. I'll take them in the grocery store and I'll buy them like 5 or 6 days worth of food
Okay.
because I don't do it a lot. I can do it. Like, see, I think if you're going to help somebody, really help them.
Oh yeah.
Give them a chance to like breathe. Where they, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
got 5 or 6 days of food. Maybe now I can focus on getting my life out of this shithole.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um, and that it. So like that's the thing I really hate about left. To bring it back to the leftists,
Mm-hmm.
they it's performative empathy.
Yes.
Everything they do is a perform. I said something about I said black people need to be treated better. That was my good deed for the month.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything good in my actual life. That's like the way they think because
Mm-hmm.
you'd never see them like actually going out and doing any good. And like um and they all share this like into their echo chambers. They share these like memes or posts that are just for applause, and they're
Yep.
like, "Oh, I better applaud that so people know I'm a good person,"
Yep.
And it's like, no, you're really not good people. You really don't have any empathy. I was on X one time, like a month ago, and I saw this woman was sexually assaulted,
Mm-hmm.
and like it was a white woman and she was rich,
Yeah.
and some of the comments just blew my mind. Like people going,
Man.
"Well, all her money will save her," or
Okay.
I bet she just talking about how much money I'm like, she just went through like probably the most horrific thing a woman can go through,
Mm-hmm.
and you're talking about money and these like meaningless things in that scenario. Well, she doesn't have to worry about real problems like the rest of us. It's
Real
like when you
problems.
can, yeah, when you can cut your empathy off like that, when you decide, like, what do you think about the whole intersectionality checklist thing where they're like, oh, uh, can I, uh, can I feel for this person? Oh no, he's a white male. No,
Wow.
okay. It's, I can't feel for him. Otherwise
Mm-hmm.
people think I'm a bad person.
Mm-hmm.
You ever run into that in Oklahoma?
No, not really.
That's good.
There's only one person I know that I see regularly that is like Democrat, but literally everyone I
Hmm.
know is a Republican conservative type. So
Yeah.
I don't really get to talk to people on the left except for on the internet. So
That's just like not the best introduction to to anybody really, but I do find one thing that with conservative people that I get in arguments with, um, they'll apologize if they go too far. You know, they actually have that ability to go,
hmm
I was being a dick, I'm sorry.
yeah.
And I've never gotten an apology from like a
Mm.
leftist, that was talking about my mom getting AIDS or
Oh
cancer
yeah.
or whatever and dying or just like anything they've said. That's how they introduce themselves. You'll post a thing, like, I like taking walks in the park. Hey, I saw you're conservative, you fucking piece of shit. I hope you die.
Oh yeah.
And you go, oh, okay.
hmm
I'm like, are we best friends now? Like, I just like, how did they? It's just like all that rage they
oh
have
yeah.
constantly. It's,
And they're empowered from being behind the keyboard. Like you're not
mhm.
gonna walk up to anyone and say that directly to their face, but you'll do it online.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
I
literally yesterday, I commented under like a left leaning account's post, and I
mhm.
said it was something about like Trump and Putin talking and stuff and whatever. And I said like, well, you should actually want to talk with the people you disagree with, and you should always be open to dialogue, even with the people that you hate.
Mhm.
And you really shouldn't hate anyone, but
Yeah.
and literally within 2 hours, I had already been told I was going to be taken out back to have a hole in the front and back of my head. And then someone
Oh,
said
nice.
that they're going to rape all of my kids. I don't even have kids, but that's. And there was
They're
something
already
else, but
planning
the
ahead.
comment got deleted before I could read all
They're like Rapel Stiltskin.
of
And then I will rape your first child. It's like, whoa, buddy.
it. Well, yeah, just
Uh,
because I said maybe we should try and talk it out instead of.
yeah, yeah, you can't be doing that, man. What are you up to?
I had one rational person comment on that, almost rational, because then the conversation got ended abruptly just because he was like, well, we should be giving Ukraine more stuff. And I'm like, well, so you just want perpetual war? And he's like, I don't want perpetual war. Eventually, Russia gave this whole explanation of how giving Ukraine more money equals Russia being defeated. But, anyways, um,
Yeah.
and then I
Well,
said,
that's
well, at what point does Russia consider us at war with them? And then, yeah, I guess that was the end of it for him because he was like, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm done here. So, okay.
they block everybody. Do you get? I get blocked all the time. I don't
Mm hmm.
even say anything. I never like. I think maybe when I first started going on there, I used to curse.
Mm hmm.
Because I don't curse at people.
Yeah.
Like in my real life, I don't curse at people. So, um, but I curse, just when I'm just
Oh, yeah.
bullshitting.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But then I realize it can just come off very aggressive if
Mm
you're
hmm.
like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" It like if they read it that way. So I just tried not to cuss, and like it's funny because they got more aggressive.
Yeah.
Stop cussing, So, um, but I think like anybody that goes through and like looks back at like a comment thread and they see one person just kind of being reasonable and of course I troll them sometimes
Mm hmm.
if they present themselves as a troll, I just troll them back.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like anybody that's reasonable goes through, they're gonna see one person just going off the wall with insults and dude, I have one picture up that you can see of me. And
Mm
it's
hmm.
you're a massive fucking fat piece of shit. And I'm like, whoa. And you click on their picture and you're going, oh, I see. You have a self portrait up that you're describing.
mm hmm.
You um, but yeah, it's see, like I think my approach is to just like treat it like a real place
Yeah.
because I don't go up to people and just start cussing at them. But if some guy just came up to me and started cussing, yeah, I'm gonna be kind of hostile to him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna. I'm not just gonna take it. But if somebody approaches me reasonably, I'll just, I try to approach them reasonably back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I've had a couple of reasonable conversations with people on X, but they're very far and few between.
hmm Yeah. And yeah, and I mean, I am a conservative and I'm a Christian, but sometimes conservatives can like misunderstand
Mm-hmm.
because if you're sarcastic, they don't get it.
Yeah.
And they come at you with like both barrels too, and so I'm always
Mm-hmm.
like, dang, I don't want to get into it with you, man. You know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we probably agree on most things, but and I try to give them an out. Hey, I was being sarcastic or
Yeah.
whatever. And if they come back again because they're already in their feelings, then I go, all right, let's fucking go. I fought my uncle before. I'll fucking fight you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love my uncle to death. But we got into like a fist fight because he was drinking one night, and and then the next day I was like, what the fuck was that about, man? And he goes, hey, you fight. He goes, you fight what's close to you, I reckon. So yeah, so um, yeah, but I really do like conservative people, like to
Mm-hmm.
talk to them. I think there's this perception that they're not as intelligent,
Yeah.
or and it's really because they're not pretentious people. Like I would bet that most conservatives, like at least I would say the percentage of conservatives that have like social media accounts is like half of that of what like Democrat liberals do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because they don't really need that affirmation.
Yeah.
They kind of get it from their everyday life. They get it from their families and their friend groups, and they don't have to like go online. Um, yeah, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm a writer, so
Yeah.
I like to write, and um, I was never like that political. So I was political. I just kept my mouth shut
Yeah.
because I realized that you're going to hurt people's feelings, and I'm not a mean person. I don't like to
Mm-hmm.
hurt people's feelings
Yeah.
unnecessarily. And then like they just started getting their feelings hurt about everything. Yeah, I mean, I just had to keep my mouth shut all the time, and I'm like, that's not a way to live.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's miserable.
Yeah.
Um, but
Uh,
yeah.
do you post any of your writings, or is it like personal stuff?
I see. That's actually why I started the X because I wanted to post stuff on there. But because I'm a white guy, I would get comments like, "You can't write about. All you do is write about white people." And I go, "No, I wrote stuff with like black characters in it, like after friends of mine. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
like molded the character after friends of mine."
Yeah.
And then they go, "How dare you write about black people?" And I'm like, "What the fuck?" And
Wow.
it's the same person. It's not like it's a different person saying it, you know. It's like the same person. They go, "Well, no, I said that you didn't have any black people in there because all you do is care about white people." And the reason I said that thing about you not how dare you write about black people is because I just wanted to be mean. It's like, okay.
Mm.
Yeah, there's what's it called? I think it's postmodernist like theory,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that you don't read the writing for the story. You don't read it for the character development. You don't read it to like kind of see um, the world through a different person's eyes and see how they experience it. And maybe something happens in that story that you could experience in your own life, and this kind of gives you a way to understand how a way to deal with it.
Yeah.
They literally only look to see what your political um,
Mm.
machination or political influence could be in the writing. And they teach that in college. And so
Mm.
that's why you're seeing every movie come out is just dog shit. You're
Yeah.
watching it and you're like, this is literally a propaganda video.
Yes.
you know. And have you ever seen those like American propaganda videos from the 40s?
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah, they actually had better story back then because they realized that you need to have a good story. You need to have a good story to draw people in so they can consume the propaganda. Now
Mm-hmm.
they lead with the propaganda.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, it's crazy times. Um, but
But it's hopeful now, you know.
mm-hmm.
Like,
I do some writings too, and I post them on Substack.
how far out, man?
That's how I ended up with this podcast, is because they added a podcast feature, and so I was like, oh, maybe I'll start a podcast. And I've been kind of talking about it for a while, but
Yeah.
so now I've moved more on to doing the podcast. I haven't been writing nearly as much, but I
What
wrote
kind
this.
of?
Oh,
Sorry, go.
I
Go
wrote
ahead.
this
Sorry.
paper on the opioid epidemic, and that took me a very long time to write it, with all the research I did and everything, and books I read. But I think I kind of burnt myself out on it.
Yeah, on writing or the
Yeah, on
opioids.
writing, because then that also was kind of like my this was my longest spent on a paper, because most of the time it was kind of like this. I would just sit down and write about things that I talk about and everything. And then so then I
Yeah.
moved on to do a different type of thing where I researched it and actually brought up all this stuff. So it was like kind of had the idea in my head that it would be like my best one, but it kind of just did as good as any of the other ones. So
That sucks, dude. When you're like
mm-hmm.
when you spend so much time on it and you like build this thing, you put all this energy into it, and then you show it to somebody and it's like you're handing them, like a turd or something. It's
Yeah.
like, what? Or they treat it like it's that, and you're going, dude, I sculpted this turd though. You could at least pretend like you.
Yeah.
Like, um, I mean, I totally get that. I do. I've run into that a lot. But it's like I learned how to like not take it super personally because it could literally be that it's not a problem with your
Mm-hmm.
writing or anything like that. It's just some people don't like to read.
Yep.
They just don't read in general. So when you're trying to get them to read something or they come across something, they're just not going to engage with it. And then like another thing could be your voice. I've had
Yeah.
people that they're like, hey man, I like I like the way you write. I just hate your fucking voice. If you could just type everything to me from now on, that'd be wonderful. We could be best friends. But it's just a lot of different factors are
Yeah.
involved with whether something is good, and it doesn't make it not good.
Mm-hmm.
I've read like books. I've read books that I didn't really like the story and everything, but I recognized things I liked about it because I kind of have a rule: if I start a book, I have to finish it
Yeah.
because because I write, and I'm like, it's the least I would, that's
Mm-hmm.
the least I want from somebody that read my stuff is to finish it.
Yeah.
And I find like things about it that I like. I try to look for things that I enjoy about it, like the
Yeah.
character, like or a character, some dialogue or something, or maybe they describe their scenery, um, or their scenic language, for example. And then there's also because as a writer, there's this great thing we have where when we're going through a really shitty time in life, we go, at least it'll make my writing better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, man, that was fucking horrible. But my this could go really well and right now. I know what it's like to go through that. You
Yep.
know. So yeah, do you ever do? Is it more essay type of writing you do,
Yeah.
or is it like
Basically, essays.
okay? Yeah, I do more story, but I dabble in like current events
Mm-hmm.
type of writing too, um, which is uh, it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's
What's
hard to like write about the current events because like I just did a podcast on the LA riots, and it was like
Mm,
3 days in of this happening. So it's like everything's still
right.
kind of up in the air. We don't really actually know unless you were down there seeing everything happen. But we still
Yeah.
don't really
Me
know
talk.
what's this and that. But
Yeah, it is hard. Like, and then also the people that are down there that are in the middle of it probably don't even know, to
mm-hmm.
be honest.
Yeah,
Like you'd say you're in an area and there's two houses burning on your street. You go, the whole world's on fire,
yeah,
you know.
mm-hmm.
Uh, and then you pan the camera out a little bit. So it's yeah, it takes a long time to really break down stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not the way people consume
Yep,
news.
yeah,
They want the first thing that kind of goes along with their side, and uh, and then they start just retweeting that on X.
yep. Yeah, I started out writing about um, like the James Webb Space Telescope. I'm very interested in like space, the planets and the
Really?
stars and all that. And then I'm also into physics. And so that's
Hmm.
kind of like the stuff I was writing about at first. But then, like, as I went on, more political stuff was happening. So I started writing about that, almost like current
Hmm.
events. And then just like almost starting to write my political beliefs out into on paper. Not
Yeah.
even just like, oh, I'm going to talk about this thing that happened. I would just write about things. Uh,
Hmm.
I
The
forgot where I
reason
was
I said
going, but
really like that, well, my dad's super into astronomy, so you guys would probably hit it
mm-hmm.
off. Like
Yeah,
he had like
astronomy.
he had a ton. Did you say astrology?
No, astronomy. I couldn't think of
Okay, good.
like the term, but you brought it up. So
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, we're talking about different. Um, no, but yeah, my dad's super into astronomy. Like when I was
mm-hmm.
a kid, he'd take us out in the backyard. He always invested into really expensive telescope
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
That 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 was where he put like his play money,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
um, or guns. He loved
Oh yeah.
shooting guns too.
Yep, always.
But which yeah, man, it's just if no one if you're like you're a person that's never shot a gun, it's just really fun to shoot
Yeah,
guns. You
it's
know,
it's
it's
fun for
like,
sure.
but it's like you feel it. You feel like an energy after you go to the range.
Oh
And
yeah.
you come back, you're just in a good mood. And
Mm-hmm.
there's I mean, it's very serious and everything while
Oh
you're
yeah.
at the range. You don't play around.
Yes.
But you can have fun. You're bullshitting with your friends or
Mm-hmm.
family, and it's a good way to connect. And then you have there's also the sporting aspect of it where you can see who was more accurate.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's yeah, it's a good time.
Real fun
Um,
time.
but yeah, with the writing, I think you and I kind of came to the political stuff in the same way. Um, with that because like I'm art I have an artistic mind,
Mm-hmm.
um that's the way I see things. And normally people with artistic minds don't go into politics. It's way too concrete.
Mm-hmm.
you know Politics is my side and your side.
Yeah.
And the I think the thing that just really pissed me off about it in this modern age is the cult aspect of it. Like I was saying earlier,
Mm-hmm.
it just destroys individualism like nothing else.
Yep.
Like people, they can't think for themselves, and um, well, it's not that they can't think for themselves. They suppress every thought that isn't with the dogma of their party or their group,
Mm-hmm.
and and they don't share it. And eventually, you do stop thinking that way. You do stop having like independent thinking.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like do you follow libs of TikTok?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Oh, they had one thing on there I saw today where it was these people crying because they heard the child of an immigrant, a recording of a child crying because their mom was taken by
Oh
ICE,
yeah.
and it was supposed to be an illegal immigrant mother, and they just show these videos. They first thing they do is they set their camera up in their car, and they start
Mm-hmm.
and then they probably take like 5 or 6 takes of that. Oh, did I
Oh
get the
yeah.
tears go? Hand me that water. Hand me the eye drops. Yeah, okay. Let me try it again. And it's so performative. Well, it was revealed that that was from a movie, right? the, the crying was just some shitty recording somebody stuck up next to their TV speaker, and uh, that's the kind of crap that I hate because they're like, oh, this will get me affirmation. I'm gonna really show what a good person I am here. And then they go walk by like homeless people and they treat their kid like shit. And they,
Mm-hmm.
go cheat on their wife or whatever. And they just look like shitty people. But I put that thing on social media where I was crying,
Yep.
so I'm a good person.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing when you see these people. They have their phone all nice and set up, and they're just crying in front of it. It's like you just want
It's
attention. You just want the views and the engagement. Like,
yeah, yeah. That's it. Like it's to it just replaces any real world need to do good. I
yeah.
think,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why um, I think the world's getting shittier.
Yeah.
As far as liberal areas. I mean, out here I feel hopeful because you're starting to see um, people, speak their mind now.
Yeah.
And I don't care what they're saying. It doesn't matter what they're saying. They're just giving their opinion, and they're not getting shouted down. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, and I never thought I'd see that here, but like 2020, 2021, in that range, it felt dystopian. You know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. COVID was a
yeah.
crazy time.
Hmm.
It was. Yeah. I mean, even here in Oklahoma, it got pretty bad for a little bit, and then things slowly lifted. Well, much quicker than
Yeah,
the rest of the country, but it was still
yeah. Not
very.
Florida though.
I was, I mean, I was bringing like rifles around with me everywhere in my truck, not
Yeah,
just carrying a pistol on me. Like I was,
you're
it's like
ready.
because George Floyd riots were happening, and they even made it to the cities here, and I was like, man, stuff's getting a little wild, but it's calmed down a lot out here.
Yeah, like that. The thing about it, I watched a lot. I mean, hours and hours of footage from the different riots
Mm-hmm.
and different interviews, and it really struck me that these people were just having fun.
Yep.
Um, and it was a lot of teenagers that they didn't even know. This is the thing that I just perplexed by. They didn't even know the guy's name. They didn't even know why people were there. There was a guy
Yep.
carrying like 3 things out of an electronics store, and he's being videotaped by his friends walking beside him. And they're like, "Yeah, this is the best fucking time, man. This is the best fucking time." And I'm like, "Oh, dude, you're gonna pay fucking hell when you get older, man.
Mm-hmm.
You don't that shit will always come back to bite you.
Yep.
Your face is on like the thing about evil that I've noticed is it doesn't announce itself
Nope.
in your life. There's not like a sign or there's not, pointy ears on it. Like
Mm-hmm.
these things happen and you just have to be so vigilant of it because like we all have what's right and wrong built into us. Like as
Yeah.
a Christian, we have, the code written on our heart.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the like in life there's just thousands and thousands of decisions that you're going to make and you don't know. It's not like a book where you're reading and it's like, and then the foreboding, he
Yep.
knew if he went this way, bad thing was going to happen. It just doesn't, it just doesn't happen like that. And so you have to like constantly go back. And I think there's a misconception about Christians that we're just terrified of going to hell all
Mm-hmm.
the time. And I can honestly say I don't think about hell at all, you
No.
know. Um, and it's really a fear of being out of alignment,
Mm-hmm.
with yourself, with God, and with your beliefs, and then your actions, like all of that stuff. needs to be in alignment, and when it's not, it feels like dissonance, like this. It's very uncomfortable
Yeah.
um, to feel that way. So,
Yeah. They say the devil wears a suit and tie. Like he's gonna
hmm
come presentable, and you know they always say he's
he
attractive
is.
and smooth talking. So
Yeah, like
he's yeah.
well, it's like that idea that Lucifer is the angel of light, and he was the most beautiful of all beings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the I think there's something. Uh, I mean, even if you're not religious, there's something profoundly true about that.
Yeah.
That the thing, like going out and being with lots of women, or
Mm-hmm.
going out and having a party. There's always repercussions to that,
Yep.
and they're selling these kids this lie, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you just go out and yeah, it's okay. I've never been in a relationship with a woman, or like you just can't have a female friend and have intercourse with her.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. That the feelings are a very real thing,
Yeah.
and they will come back to bite you in the ass. And feeling in resentment is a very real thing. And if like, yeah, me and we're just f buddies,
Yeah.
me and Shauna or whatever, and she's gonna resent the crap out of you.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna feel used, and that's because she is being used.
Yep.
Um, and then she's gonna get revenge on your ass. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, um, yeah, there's always repercussions with that.
Yeah. I mean, for most of my young adult life, I was an alcoholic and a womanizer. So I mean,
mhm,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
a great life.
it's miserable.
It's
I
fun
didn't
every
do that,
weekend,
thank God.
but every Monday, it's not fun anymore.
No,
So,
that's the thing about it. It's all fleeting. All of that shit
mm-hmm.
is fleeting. Um, and then you're constantly. That's the thing about like people with addictions. They will
Yes.
burn their life down. They think while they're high that everything's good, and then
Mm-hmm.
maybe they start to run out of their drug, and they're like, I need to get more, and
Yep.
I just spend my money, and then I'll spend my money on that, and then as that money starts to burn out, you're not gonna freaking go through a withdrawal, So you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna do something to get that money, and you're gonna make decisions while you're having like massive physical and emotional turmoil going on, and you're gonna make bad decisions,
Yep.
you know.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, it's just I lost a lot of friends to that shit.
Yep.
Um, and good people, like good hearts, and then they
Mm-hmm.
just they went out to college. They started hanging out with different things. They got lonely, and they found a group, and that group did dope, and they started doing
Yep.
dope with them. And then that group went away, and they were still doing the dope, and then it just spirals.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Yeah. Both of my parents were methamphetamine addicts. So
Yeah, that's
from a
about.
young age, I kind of knew to stay away from like those types of drugs. I saw what it did to my parents,
Yeah.
but I got into drinking, and it's kind of like socially acceptable. Like it's a socially acceptable drug. And I don't think people realize
hmm
that like alcohol is still a drug. We just don't
Yeah.
say we're getting high on beer. You get drunk on it. So it's the terminology is a little weird, but it's the same
Yeah.
thing. It'll ruin your life and your body. It's literally
hmm
poison. It's not good for you.
Yeah. People. Yeah. You don't go to like a work buddy. Hey, man, you want to grab a rock of meth after work?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You say, yeah, let's go grab a beer.
Mm-hmm.
And um, yeah, it's not like it's difficult to say, because some people they just have. I mean, it's not difficult to say that alcohol is absolutely horrible for you. It is,
Yeah.
but it's difficult to say like the people that can just drink once a week,
Mm-hmm.
or they can drink once a month, or they can go out and have a business dinner with somebody and take a couple drinks.
Yeah.
And then there's the people that like I'm trying to think of a way to phrase it that makes sense, but it just people are sensitive. They have an allergy to it. That would be
Mm-hmm.
the best way to put it. They just um, they take that one drink and it it's not like they become addicted right then. They just don't want to
Yep.
come down.
Yep.
They just feel bad and oh, I'm starting to feel bad again because their life
Mm-hmm.
there's something off in their own life
Yep.
that they're not dealing with. And so yeah, I'm just gonna freaking keep hitting that thing. And um because just being sober is so fucking painful for them, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
and the oh, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just listening.
um and then when they get a break from that, usually their life has to get really shitty. It's the only
Mm-hmm.
way to make them realize that there's really bad consequences to using this crutch.
Yep.
And they can, if they fix that thing that's just off in their life, they just don't even need it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It just suddenly um, they wake up in the morning and there's not 10,000 bricks on their chest,
Yep.
or they don't feel like 10,000 bricks are on their chest, and they can get through a conversation without their mind wandering. They can be in the moment with like their family. Um, like all of that stuff is really possible if they can fix what's off, and you're never going to fix what's off if you're intentionally blinding yourself to it.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. The only person that can change an addict's mind is the addict.
yeah. Oh, it just
Truly.
has to. I think um, Robert Downey Jr. said something about it one time, and he was like, I, what did he say? Dang it! It would be really nice if I could just whip that quote out real
Yeah.
quick. But he said something about, well, I freaking lost it. Dang
Dang
it! Hey,
it.
people should look up what Robert Downey Jr. said one time.
Yep.
um, but anyways, just talking about being an addict, and he loved all of the consequences. He loved his heroin more. Like
Yep.
he was the pain, all of the life, everyone's life he destroyed, all of his close family and friends that he hurt. I just love being high more.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got out of it, he said, um, "I feel like I fought a war that I'm the only veteran of, or something along those
Yep.
lines." Like nobody can relate. I mean, even other addicts could not relate to the
Yep.
personal hell, the personal foxhole I was in. You know,
Yeah.
and there is just really hope out there for people. I mean, there's just so much love
Mm-hmm.
for people that want to make it like change their lives. You're any church group will embrace you fully
Oh yeah.
if you want to make your life better. Except for the Westboroughs. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you know about them?
Not really. Like, I used to hear about them protesting at veterans' funerals, but that's about all I know about them.
You know what's really hilarious? That is the ultimate propaganda campaign because they wanted to have something to, beat Christians over the head with, right? So they
Yep.
brought up the Westboro Baptist Church, and I would say 99% of people are abhorred by what the Westboro Baptist Church does. Then I looked up how big they were one time. I
Yeah.
think correct me if I'm wrong. I think they have 13 official members and 97 affiliates.
Ah, wow.
Dude, and they'd be like, oh yeah, all these different other groups that happen to be on the leftist side are doing all these horrible crimes, but what about the Westboro Baptist Church?
Yep.
And Christians just had to eat that. Yeah, well,
Mm.
okay, we got. And and then it turns out, yeah, there's this tiny little thing, you know like, So we're taking like groups that are so insignificant. They became prominent because the media promoted them. That's the
Yep.
only reason. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
would have freaking heard of them. They would have been some freaking hate group in the deep south that really just only tormented their local neighborhood. Um, and now they're world famous. Some guy in Vietnam's like, "Fuck you! Let's learn about this church," you know. Uh, but yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy
Hey
how
man, how
powerful the media is.
Oh yeah, dude. Like everybody's connected to it in some
Mm-hmm.
way. Like they're maybe they don't have their own media account, like I was saying about conservatives, but they got a cousin who does, and he's gonna tell them crap,
Yeah.
or they got a friend at work, that kind of stuff. How long do you usually do your podcast for, brother?
Um, I aim for an hour, but the shortest one I've done so far is 2 hours.
Oh,
And
okay.
we're at
It
55
just
minutes.
oh, okay. I don't want to like be your shortest one. I'm having a great time. It's just it's later for me out here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, I did have a question about
Okay.
like the writing stuff. Are you gonna give it another shot?
Yeah, I've been trying. Like, I have a couple of, like, I don't know, you would call them like the skeleton. Like, I've got the ideas written down for a couple of papers, but I just haven't put the time into it. I'm also a little busier right now than I used to be because,
Yeah.
contrary to popular belief, the economy has not collapsed. My work has only been getting
What?
busier. So,
Mm. I don't believe you. I've watched CNN.
mm-hmm.
Hmm. So like I would recommend you give it a shot. You
Mm-hmm.
seem pretty sharp and you
Well,
have
thank
a
you.
unique opinion. So yeah, um, I think the more conservative writers out there, not even that you have to do anything necessarily conservative, but
Yeah.
just just try to like the people that can write from a true unique voice that's not political or uh like has an animus towards any particular group.
Mm-hmm.
If you can just write openly and honestly, like the world needs that shit,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And people are starved for it. Like look at TV shows that don't have a political bent, like Shogun, which the books were amazing. Did you ever
Mm-hmm.
read Shogun?
No.
Oh, there is Henry Clavel, and he did like 5 or 6 books set
Okay.
in Asia. So he did like Taiping, and he did about the Taiping Rebellion, and which is like China and Hong Kong and Japan. And yeah, just wonderful books. And he really dove into those cultures and gave a wonderful
Hmm.
like tour from different time periods,
Yeah.
what these cultures could have been like. But that show Shogun came out, and it's just like the number one show. Everybody loved it, and the reason is it didn't have any political shit in it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's not one political thing you could point to. There was no like, like race crap in it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it was a show that had mostly Japanese, mostly non-white people in it. There was like, I think 2 white people you could point to in the whole
Yeah.
show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's yeah. So the world just really wants. I think the world it really wants that.
Yeah.
Just like honest writing. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I try not to put myself in a box where I say
mm,
I'm like a conservative or a Democrat or a Republican. I really
yeah,
just want to be an American.
yeah,
But most people, obviously call me like a conservative, or most people really say like I'm a libertarian. But I mean,
mhm.
the Libertarian Party is within themselves so drastically
Fractured.
just, yeah, that really doesn't even mean anything. But yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
just really like our founding fathers and what they had to say. And I mean, since is about as long as I can remember, I've just always loved the Constitution. And like as soon as I learned about it, I was like, this is like the greatest thing ever. And that's why I've always just been so American, like pro 2A, and like almost everything I wear has American flags on it, and that's just
Yeah.
always been me. But so I just
So
try
you're
not
in the
to
cult.
do what?
I said you're in the cult of America, huh?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I knew it.
Yeah. So I just try to stay away from that because it kind of, I feel like when you put yourself in one of those boxes, then it kind of seems like a sports team almost. Like I'm for the Detroit Tigers. And then when you're
Right.
watching a sports game, it doesn't matter what that ref or that ump or whatever is um, calling. When it's against your team, you're outraged. That was not the right call. That definitely was a strike, not a ball, and it definitely wasn't. But that's your team, so you have to
Yeah.
go for them. And so that's what I feel. That's why I try to stay out of putting myself in a box. But honestly, I am a conservative, so
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't like even I wouldn't even call myself a Republican necessarily, but I'm
yeah.
conservative.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I used to like think I was libertarian, but like you said, it's just so freaking fractured, you
Yeah.
know. And I think it's kind of getting hijacked by communist thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've noticed you're starting to see people. Communists just love, put like weaving their way into like every organization possible,
Yep.
and they do it in like a subversive manner. They always hide what they actually think.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually the reason they always accuse conservatives of lying what they believe. I think they're always like, "You're actually a racist." No, a racist person would literally say they're racist.
Yeah.
You tell a person they're racist, they go, "Yep."
Mm-hmm.
That's literally what they yeah. I'll tell you. Sit down. I'll tell you all about it.
Yep.
Like conservatives don't like most conservatives. Um, they don't. They're not racist.
Yeah.
They're not bigoted. They don't have any hate in their heart for anybody, especially if they're Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And so like the leftists are so used to like hiding what they actually want, because when you boil it down, they always go or when you press them a little bit on their beliefs, it always comes down to they want anarchy. They want to flip the entire pyramid on its head, and they
Mm-hmm.
imagine they'd be somehow on the top then.
Yep.
And it's like, no, dude, you're gonna freaking die. You're gonna be the
Mm-hmm.
first one to die.
Yeah.
If you read any type of history, they always kill the instigator first. Oh, you're the instigator from the other side. I'm going to, like, you have a target on your fucking back. Like, it's yeah, that's the first person they want to kill. So this idea that, yeah, I'm on here to, like, have you ever heard of Voosh or Vosh?
I don't think so.
He's like this liberal. I wouldn't even say liberal. He's like a far leftist. Uh, I don't know. Like Destiny is a type of
Okay.
guy like Destiny.
I don't
Yeah,
like that guy.
yeah. But he was talking about like, yeah, and then what I'm gonna do. I just happened to see a clip of him. Just
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then he's another one of those guys that speaks really fast so he can
Yeah.
hide how stupid his fucking ideas are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like that's like the thing about Destiny. When you read what Destiny says, he just sounds like a complete idiot. He just sits there and contradicts himself constantly.
Yep.
And if you read what he says in a debate, and I happened to like have one of his debates on, and I had the little YouTube subtitles on,
Yeah.
and the audio was off, and I'm just like watching it. I'm going, "Oh, this guy's like such an idiot," but because he speaks so
Mm-hmm.
fast, like people miss it. And
Yep.
he's also like really good at because to be fair, a lot of times when people are having debates, the audience really isn't paying that much attention. Like
Yeah.
usually they're like doing a doing the laundry, like doing the dishes, playing a video game. Like
Mm-hmm.
nobody's like really sitting down watching this debate. So the only time they know when somebody's losing or winning is by the performance. And Destiny's really good at like
Yeah.
claiming that he won a point, and there it is. It's like, uh-huh. Um, and if you're not paying attention, you go, man, Destiny kicked that guy's fucking ass. Yeah, hey, babe, look at this. This guy's a 12-year tenured professor, and Destiny's smoking him somehow. Oh, where did Destiny go to college? Nowhere, babe. It's amazing. Yeah. He's just like he's a Cuba or not Cuba. I was gonna say Cuba Good and Jew. No, he's a Goodwill Hunting, just walking around. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's fun. It's pretty fun. Um, and also, like, the other thing is, like, he's a really good example of most leftist feminist men. He
Mm-hmm.
treats women like absolute dog shit, dude.
Yep.
Like, how many women just hate his guts? I mean, like, you remember how mad we got about Harvey Weinstein bringing these women in and sleeping with them to get parts?
Yep.
Remember how angry everybody was, including me? I didn't like it. I thought that was complete dog
Mm-hmm.
shit. Um, and then someone like Destiny, who brings these women onto his podcast who have these aspirations of being um, like podcasters or whatever, something on Twitch, um, and and then he sleeps with them,
Hmm.
and then he kicks them to the curb and he films it, and he
Wow.
sends his videos of his conquests out to his buddies, and then that happens to accidentally get leaked. Oh no! And and everyone's supposed to, well, but Destiny, he hates Trump though, so that's
Wow.
more important somehow than him being an absolute horrible piece of shit that burns every bridge in his life. Like, I don't even think he's that bad of like a political guy. I just think he's a really shitty person,
Oh yeah.
you know?
That's
Like,
disgusting.
yeah, yeah, and maybe I paraphrased a lot of it, but it doesn't get much better with more context, you know?
Yeah. I'd seen
So,
him on a couple of debates on Jubilee,
mhm,
um, and I just did not like the way. I don't really like the way. Like, I don't mean to talk about people's appearances and all, but the way that he talks and the way his jaw moves back and forth as he talks, instead of like up and
meth
down, it's
mouth,
got a
dude.
back and forth movement. It just seems like it's some way of him. It may just be from an accident or whatever. That's why I don't like to make fun
That's
of the way
drugs.
people look, but it's just the way that he talks and all is
Hmm.
performative.
So, like, I have seen that so much because I live in North Carolina, and one thing they have, you're just gonna bump into the like meth addicts all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and they love introducing themselves.
Yeah.
They just walk up and start a conversation with you, like they've known you for years. Hey man, how's your mom doing? He's like, what? Who are you?
Yeah.
But that mouth thing that you're describing there, he does that because it's like a meth thing, and I've heard him say
Uh,
before that he's done a lot of drugs in his life and shit. But not just meth though. Maybe I'm mixing up meth and like crack, but
mm-hmm.
like there's a thing that people do get when they do a lot of like I think it's just uppers. It might be specific to crack or meth, but
Okay.
um, their jaw, like it's just this twitch thing. Like he has a lot of twitchy movements
Mm-hmm.
that he does all the time, and that comes from drugs,
Okay.
and I don't hate him for that. I don't.
Yeah.
I love people that I have people in my life that I love that are addicted to drugs. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't necessarily make you a bad person or have a
Yeah.
bad heart. You know,
Yeah.
it makes you do shitty things.
Mm-hmm.
But um, like you just know that if you got them out of that fucking hellhole they find themselves in, that they could be those good people again that
Yep.
you knew.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like he's always been a shitty person. You know,
Yep.
I think that's pretty unique to him.
Yep.
Um, but Voosh, excuse me, his name's actually Vosh, but I call him Voosh because it runs with douche. Um, he's over there talking about him leading some ridiculous coalition of these communist people that none of them have jobs. Like if you go on his, not a single person works. If you like read the comments or his fans, like hey, anybody free Monday? And like everybody raises their hand. Yeah, I'm free. Um, but uh, yeah, he's like another one of those people that just he wants a revolution, and at least he's more open about it. At least
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I'm gonna overthrow everything.
Mhm.
Um, and then somehow they're gonna make me the supreme ruler
Yep.
because I mean because I said we should do it, so that qualifies me, right? Um, and like yeah, yeah, those type of people they really piss me off because they lure in because they when you speak with confidence and when you speak
Mhm.
um with like this type of charisma, if you have like a kind of humor, like young people gravitate to that. They go, oh,
Yeah.
that's the way I want to be. This guy seems like he knows what he's talking about.
Yep.
And they'll listen to these like stupid fucking ideas, and it goes against everything that they probably believe. Like, oh, I don't think it's right to demand to kill people. I kind of think that's wrong. But then he's like, no, I know it sucks, guys, but we got to do it. Yeah, you guys need to go out and kill all these people to save America. And
Mhm.
it's like, and the sad thing is, there's going to be some really lost kid that listens to his dumbass. And that's kind of what I think happened with that one shooter in PA. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
the one that
Yep.
tried to kill Trump.
Mhm.
It feels like he just, he was going to try and be a hero. And
Yep. Exactly. But I mean,
really
Trump is
weird how
Hitler,
that,
right? So you would do anything you could
yeah.
to stop Hitler, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And well, that's the kind of the narrative they've been
Mhm.
pushing. I mean, I totally get that, dude. When I was a kid, I was like, I had like all these ideals of what kind of like perfect man I would be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm always gonna make the right decision. I'm always gonna be helping like old lady across the street. I'm gonna save women from burning buildings, and then they're gonna fall in love with me. And it's like all these like ridiculous. And then you get out into life, and it's not dramatic at all. Life is
Yeah.
pretty fucking boring most of the
Mhm.
time. And when one of those situations does rise up to be a hero, you're just scared shitless.
Yeah. Mhm.
And especially if you're young. I mean, as you get older, you get better at handling emergency
Yeah.
situations, I think. But yeah, some AD, yeah, it's just um, so I get that kind of I understand how that fantastical type of thinking can capture like a young man.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, just better ways to be, you
Yeah.
know.
For
Um,
sure.
like the best man I've ever met in my whole life, hands down, is my dad. Just a good man. I watched him uh, like my whole life. Just watched the way he interacted with people, the way he did, and of course, he didn't do everything right.
Yep.
Um, but I saw how he made decisions. I saw why he did things. Um, and he was an electrician, and he got injured really bad, like broke, hurting, shattered 3 discs in his neck.
Hmm.
And when I was like 5, and he kept trying to go back to work because he's a really conscientious type of person. Like he has to be working. And then he like every day just be thrown up because he's in so much pain. And
Yeah.
the and I saw he just had such empathy for people. Like he wasn't a pussy, or anything
Mhm.
like that. Like he had what I consider real empathy, what I recognize as like real empathy. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna tell you what's going to help you. I'm not gonna tell you what you want to hear.
Mhm.
You know,
Exactly.
and yeah, and and he did that despite having just constant pain. My basically my whole life.
Yeah.
And uh, I get a toothache and I'm fucking miserable to be around.
Yeah.
I just it's just stuck in your like just this tooth just constantly like throbbing, and you can't think about anything else.
Yeah.
And he had that every day of
Mm,
my life, and he
yeah.
just found a way to work through it. It gave him like a great humility.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, yeah. So like that's kind of where I get most of my uh, ethics from, with like dealing with people in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Because for me growing up, it was the opposite. I had a very bad role model, so I kind of got all the things I shouldn't do, but I didn't
Hmm.
get the like. These are the things you should be doing. Yeah, my
Negative
dad.
reinforcement.
Yeah, my dad cheated on my mom. They never got married. Uh, Beat her. Turned her to
Hmm.
drugs. Before she met my dad, she wasn't into drugs. Um,
Hmm.
Even through like I have four brothers from her, from my mom. Um,
Hmm.
and so me and my next youngest brother were born into a mom that wasn't a drug addict, and then the last two were born during her time as a drug addict. So
Yeah.
he did all that, and then he's the reason why my mom doesn't have her kids. Both my parents lost their rights to us when I was about 16, and we had been in the process of all that since I was 13. So
Hmm.
he was not a great man. So I just always had this bad role model of what not to do, but I'm still having to try and figure out what I need to do. And that's where Christianity really helps a person like me.
How did you? I was going to ask you, how did you find Christ?
Well, my grandma was very Christian, like, and so from a young age, I knew about it and was introduced to it. But then my grandma died, and of course, with all the stuff going on, we didn't see her as much because I ended up moving like 45 minutes away from where they lived, where I basically originally grew up. So then for a
Hmm.
while, I wasn't really living with a Christian family, and I wasn't going to church. And then I got into alcohol, and I really almost like rejected God. But then it was
Hmm.
about 3 or 4 years ago when I met my wife, is when I really got brought back into Christianity, and that's right before I knew her. It was about 3 or 4 months before I knew her. I kind of had this enlightenment of like, okay, I need to drop the alcohol. I need to quit messing around with all these women all the time, and like I actually
Yeah.
want to find a wife. And so that's kind of when I started coming back to Christ. And then,
That's
especially
awesome.
once I met my wife, she's the one who brought me back to going to church. And then I was baptized earlier this year in January. So
Oh, that's great, man.
and I've been
Sounds
all
like
for it.
God put her in your life.
Yeah, I really
Yeah,
think
I
so
like to
because
hear
it
stuff.
was completely by chance that we even met because I just happened to be off work that day. And so then I was just out driving around on the back roads, and my buddy called me, and I was like way out in the country. And he was like, "Hey, I just got off work, or I was about to get off work, and um, do you want to come eat with me and have a couple beers?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." Um, and so then we went to this bar and we ate. And then while we were eating, my wife walked in, and I was like, jaw on the floor. I was like, "That's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen." And and so my buddy was like, "Oh, you got to go talk to her." And I was like, "Well, I at that point it was like 3 or 4 months that I had like no relationship with women, and I was like, I'm trying to work on myself, and
Hmm.
so I don't really want to, but like obviously a woman that good looking has a boyfriend, and she's probably just waiting for a boyfriend to come." So I said,
Hmm.
let's give it a little while. We're still drinking and watching whatever game was on, and then I'll go talk to her. And he just kept like pestering me about it. He's like, "No, you need to go over there and talk to her." I was like, "What if she has a boyfriend? I'm just gonna wait to see if a boyfriend shows up." And then eventually he went over there and said, "Hey, my friend over there thinks you're really good looking and wants to talk to you." And so that's how it started. Uh,
That's a buddy right there.
Yeah. And so it was
That's
so
pretty
so
cool.
happens chance because I really wasn't. That's at the point where I was not looking to be in any kind of relationship, and then the most, you know, the best relationship I've ever had walked right into my life. So I do see it as like God putting her there.
It had to be. Yeah. That's awesome, dude. Wow. And you don't have any kids with her?
Not yet. We've only been married now 2 years, almost 2 years. It's been a year and a half.
Oh, okay. Not
Hasn't
far
come
out,
without a
man.
lack of trying, but you know,
What do you think of the in vitro fertilization?
um, I mean, I don't really know. I don't really have an opinion on it, I guess. But
I have a family member. I don't want to say because
mm-hmm.
I would. I just remembered I was on a podcast thing.
Yeah,
But the he him and his wife did it, and they had 3 kids. They tried for 7 years,
mm,
um, and just no luck. Um, and then they did the that fertilization thing. Now I think it's kind of expensive.
yeah,
They got like help from family and everything to pay for it, but um, yeah, like, dude, their lives, they're just such different people,
yeah,
man. You can just, there's so much, like, they were happy before, I mean,
mm-hmm.
but it just added like a whole new level to like, um, the, I should say, a new dimension to their personalities. And it's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, maybe look into it.
Yeah, okay. Um, so to go back to when you said your dad had real empathy, like, um, I think
Yeah.
that's where the left goes off the deep end is with like empathy and love. And I think their just
Mm.
idea of it is completely different from what it actually is.
It's performance.
Yeah, and they think loving someone is accepting all the bad things they do, when loving someone is telling them the truth that what you're doing is bad for you and you should stop it. That doesn't mean you hate them. That it actually
Right.
means you love them and you want them to be better. And it doesn't mean you have
Yeah.
to quit talking to them or whatever, cut them out of your
Yeah.
life, but you can still have them around and not encourage the things that they do that are bad for them.
Yeah, and like you don't have to do it like coming in and like you're wagging your finger or anything. You
Mm-hmm.
can, uh, hey man, I'm not gonna hang out with you while you're doing heroin. I'm
Yep.
sorry. Like if you want to hang out, I love hanging out with you. Just do it sober. Like if we, and like I see a lot of stuff on the left. Like if you don't love every shitty thing about me, then you don't love me at all. Like that kind of
Mm-hmm.
attitude. And it's it's a useless attitude. It just makes everything because it just builds resentment.
Yep.
Like if someone's doing a shitty thing to you, because oftentimes it happens to you
Mm-hmm.
when that's why you call it out.
Yep.
And you pretend like it didn't happen, you're going to get resentful,
Yep.
and then when your friend actually needs you, you're gonna not be there for him. I'm not gonna
Mm-hmm.
go out of my way for this fucker. He's doing this, and you're just gonna get resentful over it.
Yep.
And so if you like calling it out, putting like uh, boundaries up is super helpful. Like it does somebody that like let's say they grew up without learning boundaries,
Yeah.
in their life. They just had a family that didn't know how to set them, or they set them very poorly,
Yeah.
like screaming and yelling and that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then they're going to take that into the real world, and maybe they need you as an example. Maybe they don't even know that they're doing it. And if you can give them that kind of example, and um like somebody that you love, you have to be willing for them to hate you.
Mm-hmm.
You have to tell them what they don't want to hear, and you have to love them in spite of how they feel about
Yep.
you, I
Mm-hmm.
think. And oftentimes if somebody, like you have a friend that's like cheating on his wife or something,
Yeah.
and he tells you about it, and he's he's telling you in a way that he wants you to go, oh, it's all right, bud, I get it.
Yep.
But you can't. You just go, man, that's not you. That's fucking shitty. You need to sit down with your wife and you need to
Mm-hmm.
talk about it, man. Fuck you. You don't even know. You, I work all the time, and then when I get home, she doesn't want to, do it, and then blah, blah, blah. And they got the whole litany of shit. And no, you took a vow, man.
Yep.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like, and it literally, if you're gonna go cheat on your wife, I mean, just like in a totally selfish perspective, if that guy's cheating on his wife, what is he gonna do to you? You know,
Yep.
he didn't take a vow to you. You've just
Yeah.
known him for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I yeah, it's but you do that because you love them,
Yep.
and people are not their sins, right? People are
Yep.
doing their sins, and you want to help them see the way, past that if you can. Um, and Man, I used to be so sensitive. Like, somebody
Mm-hmm.
told me anything. Hey, Alan, your shirt's not tucked in the back. Hey, what the fuck you say, mother? You know,
Yep.
and I took everything just like so personally, and it's because I was just so dishonest, with myself. Like, because like I was telling you, growing up, like you just learn to keep everything inside. You don't reveal anything about yourself. You don't
Yeah.
want to get targeted.
Mm-hmm.
Because once you get like targeted, I had like a really vicious set of bullies when I was growing up.
Yeah.
And they would fucking follow wherever I was, like on the playground or on the school or even like at home, like or around the neighborhood. They would go, and if I'm hanging out with somebody, like a friend, they would start making fun of that friend. So they would
Mm.
leave me alone
Yeah.
because they just fucking had a psychopathic hatred towards me. And so like when you go through that, that's pretty life changing, and so I just started learning to just hide everything about myself.
Yeah.
Um, and when people ask you stuff, you just agree. Oh yeah, sure. Oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And you could freaking be totally offended. You could be like about to throw up even, and you
Yeah.
just yeah, that sounds good. And and then you just come like I was talking about the alignment thing earlier. You just go out of alignment with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You
Oh yeah.
and you you don't even know what you think after a while. You know.
Yep.
Um, and like when you try to claw back, it's very painful. It requires so much like uh, self-examination and
Mm-hmm.
like brutal honesty with yourself. Um, and just over time, it doesn't happen all at once. Actually, this is what I think happens. It it just takes forever. You're just going along this like shitty freaking trudge just every day when you're trying to do this. Just no good feelings. Everything sucks. And it can go like that for a long time, months, years. And then one day it just happens finally. And you wake up and you just start feeling better. And it does happen all at once, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way I think. But it requires like that 4 years or whatever
Yeah.
of getting to that point, and then it's like liftoff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
like, if anybody's like feeling that, um, that's the way I think it happens. So,
Mm-hmm.
Alan from the internet said it, so it's gonna be true.
Yep. Yeah. That's definitely how it worked for me. It was just like one
Mm,
day and then the next day not. Almost.
yeah.
And there were still small steps in between. Like I stopped
Mm-hmm.
drinking and that kind of just happened sporadically, but then like I kind of took it up again. And then it went to just like, oh, when I'm with friends or I'm at a family function or whatever, um,
Right.
I would drink. But now it's just gotten to the point where like I don't do it at all. Like really, I still love whiskey. So if
Yeah.
whiskey's around, yeah, I'll probably have a glass. But like I can control it fairly well. I don't have to like have one
Mm,
glass and then I need three or four more, and then I start drinking beer or something else. But uh,
Yeah.
so
So
yeah,
you
it's
got to the point where you fixed that,
mm-hmm.
what was going on inside you, where you
Yeah,
don't need to rely on that. Okay. Yeah. Um, the I've known alcoholics that they couldn't do that.
yeah,
Even after they've been to like AA for so many years, they still can't.
mm-hmm.
Um, or maybe they could, but the fear of going back to the life
Yeah,
they were in is so much more. It just overwhelms them that they don't even want to take that drink.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
Because I didn't even get
it's
that
fine.
far down the road of that type
Hmm.
of thinking, and but I could see if you did that for like 20 or 30 years of your life, and then you finally got clean, you definitely
Yeah,
wouldn't like just don't want to pick it up, or it could just be a self control issue. But either
yeah.
way,
Hey, and it's like hey, nobody has to drink. It's not like you
mm-hmm.
eating or something. You don't. And I do feel bad for people that like are addicted to eating because
Yeah,
they you have to eat. It's a function
yep,
that's required for life. So,
mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah, that one
but
sucks.
yeah, like thank God. I think.
Mm-hmm.
um,
Yeah, I almost had a problem with
and
eating too, but I think it was mostly because of drinking too. You eat, and then also when I was in high school, I was bulking,
mhm,
so I trained myself to be eating a lot all the time, and then I
right,
carried that
yeah,
over into my adult life where I wasn't doing as much physical activity anymore, and I quit working out. So then I got
yeah,
real big, but I've
yeah.
lost it
Like,
all
do you
now.
ever see you ever see those like NFL linebackers when they retire?
Yeah.
They're so huge, dude. They look like um, my 500-pound life or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, they don't look like they've ever done anything physical ever in their life,
Yeah.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of that. Like they bulk, they're so used to eating, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 calories,
Yeah.
and then suddenly they're not doing the physical output
Mm-hmm.
behind it, and they're still eating that way. So
Yep.
that's one of those. Um, yeah, like a lot of them, they have to like go to mental health counseling because of it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about psychology and therapy and all
I mean, I think it can be good if the therapist is good,
that?
and the
Yeah,
person also has to be just like the addict. They have to be willing and wanting to do it, or they're not really going to see any real change or get any
yeah,
benefit out of it.
yeah. A good therapist, I think, is just kind of a mirror, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and they just and they're supportive. They're really like the best therapist, I think, is just somebody who's kind of supportive and nudges you, um, and is there to like cheer on your successes and listen to your failures and not give you shit about it because they don't really have a personal connection with you. So, um, yeah, like that I think that's the best function. But
Yeah.
I'm starting to see now it's getting hijacked by ideologies,
Yep.
and it's used as something of a cudgel, um, for or they no, that's the wrong way to phrase it. They take their position and use it to push their ideology on people that are at the
Mm-hmm.
lowest points in their lives,
Yeah.
and I think they need to be charged with a crime.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's
Yeah.
kind of where I go with that because it is a very cool, awesome thing, but I just feel like it's been um, well, one certain amount of people like idolizes it, like they put it in this level of reverence where it doesn't belong,
Yeah.
and then other people they act like there's no good for it whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Um, and usually they're conservatives, unfortunately, but. Um, so
Yeah.
I get in arguments with them about that all the time.
Yeah, I think it's just a tool that you can use, but I mean, I don't think it's like the end all be all of anything.
Yeah,
I think there are
yeah, it's in
definitely
that sense
different
just
ways
a
to go
tool.
about it.
Yeah, it's like you have a screw and all you have is a hammer. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna hammer this screw in.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, basically.
so did we get enough time in?
Yeah, we're at an hour 35.
All right. Yeah, I'm like super tired. I had a lot of work
Uh,
today,
yeah.
working out. So
Mm-hmm.
I wanna give you like the best version of me and not, where I'm like
Mm-hmm.
falling asleep.
Yeah. I understand.
Yeah, I really appreciated it, brother.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming on. It's been kind of hard to I mean, I kind of want people to come on that I disagree with, and I want to hear their perspective and views. But obviously, the people I disagree with, like we've talked about,
Mm,
not very rational people. And usually, when I
yeah.
offer for them to come on, the craziest thing, almost all of them say, "I'm not giving you views." Views of what, man? I just
Oh yeah.
started this podcast. I get like 10 views, dude. Yeah,
Dude,
I'm not gonna
they
be the
all
one that
think,
makes you popular. I don't even care about the popularity. I literally just want to talk to you, but I also want to film it and put it on the internet. But
yeah, you click you click their page and it's like 48 followers. You're like, oh shit.
yeah.
I guess I could that could have really helped.
But yeah, I really appreciate you coming on, and I'll definitely have you on again at some point.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Um, might try to do it at a better time for you if you wanted, so we could maybe go longer because it's really fun talking to you. So,
Yeah, there was yeah, it just got a little late for me.
mm-hmm.
Well, I usually stay up a lot later. I just did
Yeah.
like I walked for a lot today. Went on like a 3 hour walk
Mm-hmm.
and then I did my weightlifting too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um yeah, it just usually I go to bed a little earlier on those days. Gosh, I sound like an old person. Well, I went on a walk today. Not that there's anything wrong with being old.
yeah.
We all wind up there, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, how do you sign off? You got like a special sign off or anything?
Not really. Usually just say thanks for everyone that came to watch. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And
You could do Walter Cronkite, you know. Well, this has been Miller. I can't even do it. See, I don't know. I went out there for an impression. I don't even have one. All right.
all right, guys. Um, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And you can go follow him at First Allan 2 on X. And see you guys next time.